Well folks, it seems like TikTok just can't catch a break. As of January 20th, 2025, the app is back online for many users in the US after a nail-biting 14-hour shutdown. That's right, a whole 14 hours where teenagers couldn't distract themselves from the crushing weight of existence with dance challenges and lip-sync videos. A national tragedy, I tell ya, but hold your horses before you start celebrating and filming your triumphant return to the platform. While many users can access TikTok again, the app is still unavailable for new downloads on Apple's App Store. It's like being allowed back into a buffet, but they've locked the door behind you and hidden the dessert table. Not exactly a cause for a celebratory dance, is it? This back and forth, on-again off-again relationship between TikTok and the US government is enough to make anyone's head spin. One minute you're scrolling through endless cat videos. The next you're staring at an error message wondering if your favorite creators will ever grace your screen again. It's enough to give even the most tech-savvy teen a serious case of FOMO. So buckle up, Buttercup, because we're about to dive deep into the wild world of TikTok bans, national security concerns, and the future of the app that has taken the world by storm. This whole TikTok saga isn't some overnight drama, you know. It's been brewing for a while, like a pot of lukewarm tea that nobody wants to drink, but everyone feels obligated to pretend they enjoy. The tension has been building for over a year, with each passing month bringing new developments, legal battles, and enough political posturing to make your head spin. It all started back in April 2024 when Congress, in their infinite wisdom, decided that TikTok was a threat to national security. They passed a bill demanding that TikTok be sold to a US company or face a nationwide ban. Because, you know, nothing says, we take national security seriously, like a good old-fashioned game of corporate tug-of-war. President Biden, never one to shy away from a potentially unpopular decision, signed the bill into law. TikTok, understandably miffed by this turn of events, decided to lawyer up and fight back. They filed lawsuits challenging the ban, arguing that it was unfair, unjust, and frankly, a little bit rude. But alas, their efforts were in vain. The Supreme Court, in all its judicial glory, decided to uphold the ban, citing those ever-so-nebulous national security concerns. And so the stage was set for a showdown of epic proportions, a clash between a social media giant and the full might of the US government. Now you might be thinking, what's all the fuss about? It's just an app where teenagers do silly dances and share questionable life hacks. And while you wouldn't be entirely wrong, the US government seems to think there's more to TikTok than meets the eye. You see, TikTok is owned by a little company called ByteDance, which just so happens to be based in China. And that, my friends, is where the trouble begins. The US government has expressed deep concerns about the possibility of the Chinese government using TikTok to access user data, spy on unsuspecting Americans, and spread propaganda like it's going out of style. They claim that ByteDance is legally obligated to cooperate with the Chinese government, which could potentially force them to hand over user data or even influence the content that appears on the app. It's like letting a stranger borrow your phone, but instead of just looking at your embarrassing selfies, they might also be stealing your credit card information and sending cryptic messages to your contacts. Now, ByteDance has vehemently denied these accusations, claiming that they take data privacy very seriously and would never dream of compromising their users' information. But the US government, unconvinced by these assurances, remains wary of the potential risks posed by the app. So, with a potential ban looming over its head, ByteDance was left with a tough choice: sell TikTok to a US company, or risk losing access to one of its most lucrative markets. It's like being forced to choose between selling your beloved pet rock or watching it get confiscated by the government. A tough choice indeed. And let me tell you, there was no shortage of interested buyers. It was like a digital fire sale, with everyone from tech giants to retail behemoths lining up to get their hands on the hottest app in town. We're talking big names like Elon Musk, who probably saw TikTok as the perfect platform to share his latest meme-worthy musings. Then there was Project Liberty, led by media mogul Frank McCourt, who reportedly offered a cool $20 billion for the privilege of owning TikTok. That's enough money to buy a small island, a fleet of private jets, and still have enough left over to start your own space program. And let's not forget the usual suspects. Amazon, Oracle, Walmart, and Microsoft all threw their hats into the ring, eager to add TikTok's massive user base to their ever-growing empires. But alas, no deal was reached, and the clock kept ticking towards the impending ban. The impact of the TikTok ban was felt far and wide, like a digital earthquake shaking the very foundations of the internet. For starters, over 170 million US users were suddenly cut off from their daily dose of viral videos, dance challenges, and questionable cooking tutorials. That's a lot of disappointed teenagers, folks. And it wasn't just the users who felt the burn. Advertisers who had flocked to TikTok like moths to a very bright and addictive flame were forced to scramble for alternative platforms to reach their target audience. With TikTok out of the picture, platforms like Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, and Twitch experienced a surge in popularity as users and advertisers alike searched for their next digital fix. It was like watching a game of musical chairs, with everyone vying for a seat at the table. But the impact of the ban went beyond lost connections and advertising revenue. It raised fundamental questions about freedom of speech, government censorship, and the delicate balance between national security and individual rights. Now, this whole TikTok debacle isn't just about one app. It's a symptom of a much larger issue, a growing distrust and suspicion surrounding technology, particularly when it comes to companies based in China. The US government has become increasingly wary of Chinese tech giants, accusing them of stealing intellectual property, engaging in unfair trade practices, and posing a threat to national security. It's like a digital Cold War, with each side accusing the other of espionage, sabotage, and general bad behavior. And caught in the middle are ordinary citizens who just want to enjoy their favorite apps and websites without worrying about their data being compromised or their privacy being violated. This tension between the US and China is unlikely to disappear anytime soon. It's a complex issue with far-reaching implications, and finding a solution that satisfies both sides will require diplomacy, compromise, and a willingness to see things from each other's perspective. So, what does the future hold for TikTok in the US? Well, as of right now, it's anyone's guess. The app is back online for many users, but the ban on new downloads remains in place. President Trump has thrown a curveball into the mix by proposing a joint venture with 50% US ownership. It's like trying to solve a puzzle by adding more pieces. But hey, who am I to judge? Whether ByteDance will agree to this proposal is yet to be seen. They've been reluctant to sell TikTok in the past, but the pressure from the US government is unlikely to let up anytime soon. It's a high-stakes game of chicken, and both sides are holding their cards close to their chests. The outcome of this standoff will have major implications for the future of social media, data privacy, and the relationship between the US and China. It's a story that's far from over, and one that we'll be following closely in the weeks and months to come. Now, while the US is busy wrestling with the whole TikTok conundrum, other countries are grappling with similar concerns about the app's data security and potential for misuse. It's like a global game of whack-a-mole, with governments around the world trying to get a handle on TikTok's influence and potential risks. India, for example, banned TikTok back in 2020, citing national security concerns, and they haven't looked back since. Other countries like Australia and the UK are closely scrutinizing the app and considering their own measures to address potential risks. This global scrutiny highlights the growing importance of data privacy and security in the digital age. As more and more of our lives move online, governments are increasingly concerned about protecting their citizens' data from foreign interference and misuse. It's a complex issue with no easy answers, and one that will continue to shape the global landscape for years to come. So, where does all of this leave us? Well, folks, it seems we're at a crossroads, a digital crossroads where the desire for online freedom and the need for security collide. On the one hand, we have the internet, a vast and ever-expanding universe of information, connection, and cat videos. On the other hand, we have concerns about data privacy, misinformation, and the potential for misuse by governments and corporations alike. Finding the right balance between these competing interests is no easy feat. It requires careful consideration, open dialogue, and a willingness to adapt to the ever-evolving digital landscape. As technology continues to advance at a breakneck pace, we must remain vigilant in our efforts to protect our privacy, our security, and our fundamental freedoms. The TikTok saga is just one chapter in this ongoing story, a story about the power of technology, the importance of responsibility, and the challenges of navigating a world increasingly defined by the digital realm.